How would you change the world if you had the power? The power to revolutionize healthcare, education, and save our environment, enabled by artificial intelligence. In 48 hours, with interdisciplinary teams, with no coding skills required, you have this power. How would you change the world if you had the power? The power to revolutionize healthcare, education, and save our environment, enabled by artificial intelligence.
Hi everyone, my name is Ian, and I'm currently the president of TUM.ai, and on behalf of all of us, we want to welcome you to the fourth Makeathon that we've been putting on, this one powered by Microsoft. So welcome, and hope you guys are as excited about the next 6 days as we are. So the agenda for today is I'm going to talk about the concept of the Makeathon and what you can expect. And then we'll have a quick sneak peek at some of the challenges that you guys are going to be working on for the 4 days over the weekend. And finally, I'll talk a little bit about the next upcoming events that you guys have access to. So the concept of the Makeathon is really to have 48 hours to work on one solution for a problem. And the overall goal for this one is AI for global impact. So we have chosen challenges that really affect the world and really have an impact on everyone's everyday life and really tackling those big problems. So the innovators, you guys, are going to have the opportunity to solve real life business cases and develop an AI solution for those. We'll support you throughout the way and help you launch your AI product, help you grow your network, help you learn from some experts, and finally, also for some of you, win some amazing prizes at the end. So our mission at TUM.ai and for the Makeathon in general as well is really to connect the theoretical work that you guys have been doing on the at schools and in university and in Munich in general, and really drive innovation in AI from that. And so we do that by connecting people, executing, and learning. So we try to bring together a very diverse set of people, help you guys work on the challenges that you're seeing in the world, and learn as much as possible along the way. And we're really trying to lower the barrier of entry for those AI ideas and make sure that all the great ideas that you have in your head actually can go and make the world a better place. So some numbers, because I know you guys all love numbers. We have had 340 applicants for this session. And of those, 75% of you guys said that you love TUM.ai and would like to join, and you too. The application phase for TUM.ai starts, I believe, on October 1st. So if you are interested in that, please do apply, and we'd love to have you as part of our community. Of those 340 applicants, we had 265 acceptances. So congrats to all of you guys that are here now. I hope you guys are excited to be part of this. And for the first time ever, actually, we're having a hybrid event. So 150 of you guys are actually going to be joining us in person. I can't wait to see all of you guys' lovely shining faces on Friday. And I can't wait to finally be able to do this in person after the long Corona session. So besides that, we've had applicants from all over the world this year. The 50 nationalities are represented in all 6 of the continents. Unfortunately, no penguins fly this year, so we only have 6 of the 7 continents. But that's super exciting to see the diversity of applicants that we have. And of those, 82% are in the Central European time zone. So most of you guys are sort of concentrated here, which makes sense with a hybrid format that we get to see you in person finally. So I'll also give you guys a little bit of information on what you can expect for the next couple days and what exciting talks and workshops we have for everyone. So tonight, right after this introduction session, we have a workshop with Microsoft on Azure machine learning. So that starts if you just stay on this stream. We have a quick break between this and the workshop, and it'll start at 7:15 to 8:15. I think that's something that's going to be very relevant for all of you, and so I hope to see you all there and learn a little bit on how to apply Azure to actually train your models and get to that next step. Next up, if you haven't found a team yet, so if you applied as an individual and are looking for a team, we have a team finding event tonight. So that's super important who don't have a team. That starts at 8:30 tonight. And on Slack, we've sent around an invitation to the platform that we're using for that. And so if you don't have a team yet, please do join in there, and we'll help to match you with somebody who has sort of the similar interests and is looking at the same challenges that you are, and that you can work together well with, because that's going to be super important, because you're spending 48 hours together, probably with very little sleep. So we've got to make sure that you guys get along. Then tomorrow, on Wednesday, we have another workshop by Microsoft on responsible AI. So if that's something that's interesting to you, and I hope that it is for everyone, because I don't want to see any killer robots coming out of this competition. So hopefully you guys all attend that as well. It's tomorrow at 6:30. Again, on Slack, we'll send around an invite to this. After that, we'll also have a talk with IBM that's starting at 6. And finally, on tomorrow, the deadline to register teams is just before midnight. So make sure that you get your team registration in at that time. We need the team name that you've chosen, the names of all the team members that are part of that team, as well as a prioritization list of all the different tracks, so that we can match you with the track that you guys are most comfortable with, and make sure that the tracks are also evenly distributed. So very important, tomorrow, just before midnight, make sure to get in your team submissions so that we can match all the teams with the challenges in time. That brings us to Thursday, where we have a talk by River AI on synthetic data generation. So that's super helpful for especially medical cases where the data itself is quite private, and so you might not be able to have access to that data set. And they'll give you some tips and some tools to help you actually artificially generate that data so that you can use it to train your models without having to jeopardize privacy of potentially very personal data in the medical field. After that, we have another talk by AI for Medicine on AI for personalized prevention and health. That's also very interesting, especially if you're getting into that medical and health track. If you need a bit more information about that, please go and attend that meeting. And after that, for everyone, we have a partners lounge where you get to meet all of our partners, our sponsors, our challenge setters, and our judges, and you get to mingle with them, talk a little bit about the work that they do, the work that you do, and maybe do some awesome networking. That then brings us to the actual hacking part of the Makeathon. So that starts on Friday at 10 a.m. So please, everyone show up on time so that we can get this started at a reasonable time. And that's so for those of you that are doing the in-person one, we'll be meeting in Gaching in the MI building. For everyone else, obviously, it happens remotely, and we'll have another kickoff show at that point. And then starting at 11 a.m. on Friday, the actual hacking starts. So that's when you get the chance to actually start working on your product and on your solutions and get to work. Exactly 48 hours after the hacking starts, we're going to have the submission deadline. I'll talk about what exactly that means a bit later, but make sure to get that in on time as well so that we can count you for the jury. Then just after the submissions, you guys start pitching your amazing solutions to the track juries. And then once that round is done, the finalists will pitch again to the final jury and to everyone. And we'll have a closing ceremony to crown the winners. And then it's game over. We're also very excited to announce that we're partnering with Microsoft this time around to give you guys some computational resources in the form of Azure vouchers. So you can use these to help and train your ML model and get you really to that next level of having a model that actually has been validated and trained on real world data. So in terms of models, so not this kind of model, but the AI model, you are free to use any and all available open source models. If you need a little bit of help from that, because some of you I know don't have a huge AI background, you can also reach out to us on Slack. That TUM.ai has an awesome network of really amazing AI engineers that are very, very comfortable working with models and can sort of steer you in the right direction. So if that's something you need a little bit of help with, please reach out to us on Slack. And so that brings us to Slack in general. That's going to be our main communication tool for the entire event. We are going to be posting all of the challenges there, all of the informational handouts, and as well as ways to help you find the teams. All the workshops are going to be there. Also job offers for our partner companies if they are looking for some more support. Also super important, as well as obviously our infamous meme page, which you guys definitely don't want to miss, especially if things start getting a little bit maybe rough and you're starting to run into some issues late, maybe Saturday night, and need some pick me up. Check out the meme channel, and I'm sure there'll be lots and lots of funny memes there. So please join the Slack. We should have also sent around an email to all of you. I think some of them did land in the spam folder. So please check your spam folder if you haven't seen that email from us. And join the Slack channel as soon as possible so that we can get you fitted with a team and all ready for all the activities. And I'll talk about the meme challenge a little bit later, but that's also very exciting. So if you haven't gotten a chance to scan it here on the screen now, it'll also be sent around to you in your email. So don't worry about it. So moving on to the submission and track jury. So the submission system is 48 hours after we start hacking. So that should be 11 a.m. on October 2nd, so on Sunday. And you have to submit in two different places, one to DevPost for your presentation and all of your presentation material and instructions, and submit also your prototype to GitHub so that we can actually use it in the final and validate it. Again, like all the information, we're going to send it to Slack. So please keep checking your Slack. But we'll send the links to those well before the deadline so that you'll have plenty of time to upload everything that's important to the Slack. And please do upload before the deadline because we do have to be quite strict about it to keep everything on schedule and get everyone out the door at a reasonable time. So please be strict about 11 a.m. Everything has to be already submitted, and we can't really make any exceptions for that. Once everything's submitted, we have the track jury. So you'll be pitching your solution to the expert in that track. So this is an expert who works closely in that industry and has set some of the challenges. And they'll be evaluating your pitch, prototype, and slide deck, and really seeing how far along you came, how your solution addresses the problem, and how technically viable and advanced your solution is. So this year we've switched up the rubric a little bit. So the tech portion accounts for 60% of the grading now. The feasibility of the idea accounts for 30%, and the impact accounts for 10% of the grading. So the jury will rank you based on that metric and then assign a winner for that track. That track winner then will be able to present to the whole of the Makeathon and to the final jury. And this is really where the exciting part starts. The jury will have the option to have do some judging of the competition there. So there's going to be one from each track that's arriving to the final, and they're going to have the same rubric as the track jury. So again, that's 60-30-10 split between the different sections. And that the judging happens in 2 rounds. The first round is right after each of the teams pitch. They get awarded a certain amount of points, and then in the second round, the jury can then also award some bonus points to the teams that they think did particularly well. And that happens October 2nd, so on Sunday, from 6 to 9 p.m. So hopefully you guys are all excited for that. Finally, we'll have some awards for the finals as well. And whoever the jury crowns as the winning team will get 2,000 euros, which is super exciting. The runner-up will get 1,000 euros, and the third place team will get 500 euros to help bring your idea to the next level and reward you for all the amazing work that you've been doing over the last 48 hours. So hopefully you guys are super excited about that too. Finally, we also have some community awards. So these don't have anything to do with the solution that you create, but depends on how much of a meme lord you are. So on our meme channel, we'll be accepting memes throughout the entire competition. And at the end, the meme that has gotten the most trophy icons is going to get awarded a €100 prize as well, and get to show off in front of the entire competition how much of a hilarious person you are. So giving you a little bit of a preview of the track. We have 4 tracks this year inside the sort of umbrella of AI for global impact. The first one of these is AI for social support. So this is really around empowering and enhancing the social support for people of all ages, backgrounds, and abilities, and coming up with solutions around that. Then the next one is around healthcare. So finding ways to use AI to really push the cutting edge of healthcare, either through finding new ways of diagnosing or treating, or also finding ways to increase the accessibility of healthcare to people who might not otherwise get access to it. Then we have an environmental track, which is going to be around using AI to increase the environmental sustainability of the challenges. So really using this to make sure that we are more sustainable and can use our resources more equitably. And finally, globalization. So tackling problems related to transnational matters. And in each of these tracks, we have the challenges set by companies. And you can either choose to attack one of these challenges that the companies have set, or if you don't find one that really matches exactly what you're looking for, you can also create your own individual challenge and go your own way within that track. This year, we have some amazing challenge setters as well. So these are companies or NGOs or governmental institutions that have a lot of expertise in each of these fields and can provide a few challenges that might steer you guys in the right direction of an actual use case that the industry really needs a solution for, as well as giving you guys some expertise and help to push you in the right direction and really support you in that solution. And finally, they also are providing some data sets that are not normally available to the public to help you train your models and sort of get a solution that actually works quite well. Finally, so we're super excited that you guys can work for the challenges from Microsoft, from ourselves, River, Avelios, AI for Med, and Applied AI as well. So in the healthcare track, we have 3 different challenges that you guys can attack. The first one is using AI to train doctors. The second one is using images of an organ to detect diseases early. So that's also quite an interesting application that's quite relevant right now. And challenge 3 is using disease symptoms even show up. So using AI as a crystal ball to be able to tell when somebody's going to have a disease in the future. The second track is on environmental challenges. We have 2 challenges for this track. The first one is on saving crops using AI. And the second one is on predicting environmental damage using AI. So both also very prescient and very important as we start seeing more and more global disasters. Social support challenges, there's 2 of these. The first one of these is around increasing accessibility of the workspace using AI. So if you have something that you think might be relevant for that, this is a challenge that you could choose. And the second one is around mitigating violence and hate in society using AI. I'm sure all of you guys are familiar with sort of the toxicity that you can see on Instagram or Twitter, and using AI techniques to attack those would be something that happens under this challenge. And finally, we have the globalization challenges, also have 2 challenges here. So the first one is around using AI to help build infrastructure. So if you have any ideas or interest around the infrastructure problem, then this would be a challenge for you. And finally, we have using AI to help companies comply with regulations. So making sure that companies are really staying within the environmental or health and safety regulations and making sure that they're following those. If you have any ideas around that or interested in that, this would be the challenge for you. So those are all the challenges. If you are interested in anyone in particular, then please rank those a bit higher on your team sheet when you submit those tomorrow evening. But moving on for tonight, make sure that if you do not have a team yet, that you join us tonight at 8:30 for the team finding event. We have a website set up where you can roam around and match with other people based on the challenges and the tracks that you're interested in, and chat a little bit and make some connections and hopefully find somebody that you really want to work with for the next 48 hours. So please do join us tonight, 8:30. The message will be on Slack on where you can join. So that brings us to the end of the opening ceremony. I just want to remind you guys really quick on what's going on this week so that you guys can take advantage of the stuff that we have. So stick around after this. The opening ceremony, we're going to have a quick 15-20 minute break where you can go grab a glass of water and stuff. And then the Azure ML workshop is going to start. So they'll help you get set up if you want to use those Azure ML credits to train your machine learning algorithm, and need a little bit of help getting started with that. That's a great workshop to go attend for that. Then later tonight, if you don't have a team yet, come to the team finding event at 8:30, following the link in Slack. And then tomorrow we have the responsible AI at 6:30 with Microsoft again, and 7:30 we have a talk by IBM. And then don't forget, tomorrow before midnight, submit the team sheets with all your names, the ranking of the tracks, as well as your team name. That brings us to Thursday. We've got the synthetic data generation by River AI, as well as the AI for personalized prevention and health at 7:15, followed by the Partners Lounge at 8:15. And then I'll see you guys all, at least the 150 of you that are in person, on Friday morning. Please don't be late to that. We'll start promptly at 10, and also virtually for all of you guys who are not in this weekend. So I can't wait to see everyone and all the amazing solutions that you guys come up with. I think every year you guys just absolutely blow me away with the amount of creativity and work and effort and ingenuity that you put into all of the different amazing solutions. And I'm sure this year will be the same. And I'm really looking forward to the closing and all the pitches that happen, and to meet all of you guys and hang out and see what you guys managed to do. So looking forward to everything, and good luck on the Makeathon, and I'm sure you guys will all do amazing. Take care.
Hello, everyone, and a very warm welcome to tonight's very first event of the Deep Dive series. Today, we already have TUM.ai Makeathon Season 4 and actually powered by Microsoft. This time, we're running under the theme AI for Global Good, and we will soon hear more about Microsoft's Azure program and everything that they have to offer for us. Microsoft has for quite some the very beginning of TUM.ai, but not only that they have supported us in our Makeathons in the last 2 iterations, but they've also supported us in the different projects that we have already offered. Before we actually start, a few informations about the Deep Dive Days. As you know, during the Deep Dive Days, you have a chance to hear expert lectures and workshops from our partners and learn about everything that's going on in the AI space. Of course, all of the talks will be published to YouTube and you'll have a chance to rewatch them again, but we highly encourage you to also be there live, to watch us live, and also participate in Q&A sessions, in discussions, and just get the best experience out of it. After a very short we'll hear experts and hear more about the upcoming events and have a chance to grab all the links for tonight's finding event. But now I don't want to take any more time from our actual expert talk. Tonight here with us, we have Jens Boyerle, solution architect, someone who has a long history with AI, actually AI at Microsoft. So I wouldn't spend any more seconds, but would actually like to welcome Jens on stage. Jens, the stage.
Awesome. Then thank you much for your introduction. Yeah, first of all, I'm very happy to present the AI portfolio from Microsoft during my 1 hour or 50-minute session. Yeah, first of all, I would like to introduce myself. My name is Jens. I'm a cloud solution architect for data and AI at Microsoft, and I'm responsible for some bigger customers in Germany to drive customer transformation with the focus. The main goal of my session today is that I will give you an overview about all AI and machine learning topics that Microsoft provide, for example, also out of where you can use. Also at the end, we have a Q&A session where you can ask questions, and also on Friday, we have a Q&A when you have some troubles or when you need help with some services, then yeah, for sure, please let me know. And also during the weekend, yeah, you can reach out to me and I can help you. And yeah, when you have some issues, then my screen now. And first of all, I show some slides where I will give you an overview about all the AI and machine learning capabilities that we have in Azure. Then I will switch to the Azure portal and I will show you some demos. And yeah, at the end, you have the possibility to ask some questions. Then let's share my screen. Okay. Hopefully you can see it. Maybe, is it fine? Hopefully, yes. Yeah. First of all, we have 3 pillars of when you can classify our Azure AI portfolio in 3. On the one side, we have the cognitive services, which are pre-built AI from Microsoft, for example. Research, they developed different AI models, for example, for face recognition or also for speech detection or speech to text that you can transcribe, speech to text, for example. And also when you go into the language category, then you can, for example, analyze the sentiment of text, or also you can do text classification with your text data. And yeah, these are some, it's called cognitive services, and these are pre-built models, and you can use these models to a REST API, which is it's an endpoint. For example, when you create this service in Azure, you get an endpoint, and then you can just call the REST API with your data, and then get the response back after some milliseconds. Yeah, this is the first pillar of the AI capabilities that we have in Azure. The second one is it's called applied AI services. And what's behind the applied AI services? It's just what Microsoft did is we combined different cognitive services inside, or we just combined different cognitive services, for example, some vision capabilities and also some language capabilities, and put these cognitive services, for example, in one product. And one example is the form recognizer, where you, for example, recognize text and also analyze forms and get key value pairs out of it. But yeah, I will show you later a demo. Then you have a good feeling about that and know what's behind that. And the third pillar is Azure Machine Learning. Azure Machine Learning is for all data scientists, and on the platform, for example, maybe you already heard about ML Ops. It's machine learning operation. A lot of customers are struggling with deploying machine learning models, and on the platform, on the Azure Machine Learning platform, you can do everything from training, from data preparation, and also at the end, you can deploy your machine learning model and get also an endpoint to do inferencing and do predictions with your machine learning model. Let's start with an overview about the cognitive services. I already said when I give you a definition about that, it's we add cognitive capabilities to our apps with APIs and AI services, and cognitive services are in general pre-trained models, and you can use it when you create a service inside Azure. You can use it with just API calls, and that's really nice, because when you have, for example, when you have a project, when you have an idea, sometimes it makes sense to not reinvent the whole wheel. And you can also, for example, can face recognition or also computer vision with that, and you can save time with the cognitive services, and can just use it and don't reinvent the wheel every time. You already have seen that we have different topics inside the cognitive services. For example, the first category is the vision category, where we can, for example, we have image understanding. We have also text extraction, with which is OCR, for example, where we can, for example, we send images to this service and get text out of it. And it's text recognition, or it's OCR recognition from the picture, from the image. We have also image capturing, for example, when you need to describe your image. Form recognition, for example, the form recognizer. Also, when you have different videos and you need detailed information about the videos, for example, when you want to transcribe your video, then you can send the video to the video indexing service inside the vision category, and then you get a response back, and you don't need to train the machine learning model. And I don't know how long it would take when you would do video indexing. It's a hard task when you develop it and code it when you train a model. Then the second category is speech, where you, for example, have now in Teams, for example, also integrated that you have speaker recognition or also speech to text. For example, when we can transcribe my speech to text, that you have the transcription under the video, what you have in YouTube, for example. Also, you can do text to speech, which is used mostly in bot scenarios, or when you have digital agents, for example. Then you type something, or when you call a call center, then you type text and the bot is able to speech your text. This is, for example, one example. What custom neural voices, which this topic, or which this service, you can train your neural voice, and then, for example, the bot can speak your voice. And but as you know, sometimes it's not the best thing, and you have to be careful, because it's really neural voice, and it's not good when you do bad things with that. Yes, I think speech translation is very clear. Then let's go to the next topic. Is called language. It's a language topic where you have everything with text, and for example, text, where you have entity extractions. You just send sentences, for example, to this service, and to find entities. Also in a for example, when you are in a call, or when you analyze reviews and you want to analyze if this is a good review or a bad review, you can use the sentiment analysis, and then you can send text to this service and get, for example, a value from 0 to 1 back. And then, for example, 1 is really good or 0 is very bad, to do a sentiment analysis out of it. Yeah, I don't want to go into every service. I just want to give you an overview of what's everything in Azure, or the pre-built models which you can use inside Azure. Yeah, also when you want to do one example, one last example is on the last topic, the decision one, where you can do with the personalizer, you can build recommendation engines based on reinforcement learning. That's also really nice because, yeah, as you know, reinforcement learning is not the easiest thing to do. And yeah, with the personalizer, you are able to use the pre-built reinforcement learning algorithms to, yeah, train a model with your data, but based on a pre-built model. Then, yeah, as I said, for the cognitive services, no machine learning expertise is required because you can use it, or you can create it inside the Azure portal, and you don't need to train your machine learning model. You can just use the API, the endpoint, for example, which you get after the creation inside the Azure portal. And now on the right side, we have it's just in written text. You must be the change you wish to see in the world, for example, on the red paper. And when you send, for example, this is now text recognition, or it's OCR. When you send this picture to the API, then you get this text or this date format or you get a response as a JSON back. And then you can see on the right side the different results. You get the text, for example, here you have change, and you also get the bounding box, which just describes where is the text change inside the image. And you can also have a full analyzed image and all the text from the image. Okay, then that was the first category, the first pillar. It's called cognitive services, where you can use the pre-built machine learning models. The second category is the Azure Applied AI services, where we just combine different cognitive services together and put these capabilities inside another service, for example. And I will give you some examples, then you have a good understanding about it. And it's the same. You also can go to the Azure portal, create the different Azure Applied AI services, and then just use it. But they are bigger, and for example, more than one service, or for example, you have speech capabilities and also OCR in one service. And in the next two slides, or in the upcoming slides, I will show you the different Azure Applied AI services. Sorry. We have for different scenarios, we have the Azure Applied services. For example, when you want to create a bot, we also have different capabilities for bot service, where you can use, for example, our speech service to do text to speech that your bot is able to answer in a human way. And also, for example, a bot has to know the intent of, for example, when you ask something to your bot, then it's really important that you understand the intent, what's behind your question. And that's, for example, inside the language service. And that's what I mean, that Microsoft just combined different cognitive services in the bot service, which you can use when you create, for example, the bot service. But this is just an overview that you can see, okay, we have the three topics, and now I would like to go into some examples, for example, the form recognizer and also cognitive search. You have an overview about all Azure Applied AI services. For example, I already told you that the Azure Video Analyzer, that you can extract actionable insights, for example, from your videos. Also you can do with the documents, you can use Azure Form Recognizer, where you can analyze receipts, you can analyze different layouts. yeah, I will give you a demo after that when we go to the Azure portal, then you get a better understanding about it. Also, when you have a lot of documents or images and you want to do or want to be able to that the documents are searchable, then you can also use Azure Cognitive Search for that, where we have different, or it's a platform as a service search service where you can, for example, just put your data in and we build the index for you, and then you are able to search for information inside your documents. And it's yeah, for example, you also can put PDFs, images, yeah, different or unstructured data inside the service, and yeah, can then search different information about it. Then, yeah, as I told you, I will give you now an example about the Azure Form Recognizer. Here you can see we have on the right side, we have it's just a layout, it's with the receipt, I would say. And you can, for example, with some Azure Applied services, you can provide your own data for the Azure Applied AI services. And then on the right side, you see the labeling tool. And then you can say, okay, when you have 10, for example, when you want to automate all your receipt, you get a receipt in and upload it into Azure and then start the workflow. Okay, I would like to recognize all articles on the receipt. Then you can train with the labeling tool your custom model with your data. You just have to click on the table, for example, or also, for example, on the name, and then you have to label and tag your data. And for example, when you have 10 examples, then you can train your model and then you can use it and you can automate the whole workflow with it. And yeah, for this, maybe when you would like to, or when you, for example, when you scan a receipt, then you can upload it on Azure and use, for example, it's another service, it's an orchestration tool. It's called Logic Apps, which is really big, and we have a lot of connectors in it. And then we can trigger, okay, when the upload is finished, then please send the document to the form recognizer. And then after that, the extracted data is saved into an SQL database, for example. And this is the way how customers and all companies, or a lot of companies, are automating the whole workflow with AI. And yeah, AI is just a piece of it. It's just the intelligence to recognize the different forms. But when you want to automate everything, it's also possible with Azure. Then, yeah, as I said, Cognitive Search is an platform or search as a service where you can just put your data in, your PDFs, your images, you can connect, you can have a connection to different databases, and then just create an index, and then you create searchable content using integrated AI. And also, for example, when you provide images in it, we have an enrichment pipeline where we analyze, for example, the images and also all unstructured data. And also, for example, when you search something, or when you search like pizza and you have images with pizza on it, then also you will get it on the results back, the image, for example. Awesome. Yeah, that's all. The third category is Azure Machine Learning. And as I told you at the beginning, Azure Machine Learning is a machine learning platform where you can orchestrate, or you can do everything from training, from deployment, from data preparation. You can do everything inside Azure Machine Learning. And at the end, I will give you a demo about the capabilities, what you have. And yeah, that's it. As I said, it's really from training, from preparation, or to deployment of machine learning models. You can use it really from end to end, the whole machine learning life cycle. You can build up and develop your custom machine learning models. And that's just the lifecycle workflow. And now I would like to go to the Azure portal and show you, first of all, how the Azure portal, maybe some of you haven't seen the Azure portal, and then we will create an Azure resource, for example. And then in the next step, I will show you some, for example, in the vision category, some cognitive services, how you can use it. and also, for example, in the language category, how you can use the language service. And at the end, I will show you the Azure Machine Learning service, how you can create it, and then how you can use it. Then quickly, I stop my sharing. Second. See my screen. I already created some resources for you, but yeah, first of all, this is the Azure portal. This is the main entry point. For example, when you yeah, I already heard your use cases in the intro session. Really, really interesting. When you decide to do yeah, your AI or your machine learning models with Azure, then this is the main end out of it. When you, for example, want to create when you want to do something with computer, you have to create different resources. For the resource creation, you click here on the menu on the top left. Then create a resource. Then you would just search, for example, first of all, we would like to do custom vision, or we would like to do image classification with our custom images. Then, for example, you just type in custom vision. And then you will find a service after it. Then you can see here custom vision, and then just click create. Then here you have different, or you can choose your subscription. For example, when you have more than one subscription, then you can choose it. But for now, that's my internal Microsoft subscription. Here you can create different resource groups, which is just, for example, you can imagine when you have a project where you have different resources, then you can put all services inside this resource group, and it's just a logical, or it's like a folder where you can organize all your resources inside Azure. It's just for that you have a better organization about your services. In the next part, you have here, you can choose the region where your service is deployed. For example, now I would like to choose West Europe, but you can also deploy it in the US, in Germany. It's completely fine wherever you want. For the name, you just, for example, you need a name for the endpoint. For example, this should be a unique name. I just call it now TUM custom 1 now. And then also when you, for example, in all cognitive services, you need to choose a pricing tier, which is nothing else. It's everything in Azure, it's pay per use. For example, when you call the API, then you pay for it for each API call. But what you can do when you just test, for example, something, all of the cognitive services and all applied AI services, they have also a free tier. And here you can see 2 transactions per second, and 2 projects are for free. And then you don't have to be afraid to just use it, or that maybe you have a lot of costs out of it. It's completely fine. You can choose free for the first iteration, and then you have no cost. And it's also when you now for custom vision, we train with our own model, with our own data. That's the reason why we need a training resource and also a prediction resource. And then it's everything you need. You also have to choose an resource group, and then you click on review and create. and then that's everything. And then the resources are created, and then you can use it. Okay, now I have missed the resource group here, but yeah, I already created a service in front of it. Then let's go to the first demo. I already trained the machine learning model here. What we do now is it's image classification. For example, when you have a case where you need to do image classification, or for example, here in this case, this was a customer use case where we need to know if this is it's a wooden screw or a metal screw, and for this I just provide 10 images of an wooden screw and 10 images of a metal screw, and just clicked here train, and that's everything. Then it takes, for example, 1 hour. You can also do advanced training and say, okay, I need a really good machine learning model. And then, for example, I can say, okay, train 1 day. And then after the training, you see under the performance, you see, okay, how good was the training? How good was my iteration? Here you can see different metrics. You see precision, recall, and AP. And then, yeah, you can have different iteration out of it. And then you can also see when you, for example, when you publish the machine learning model, then here under prediction URL, then you get the endpoint, and then you can use it. And just, for example, when you integrate or when you build an app, then you can, for example, when you have a phone, and then take a picture with your phone, just send it to the endpoint, and then you get a result back out of it. And for example, we can also we can test it live here. Just type in Holzschraube. Yeah, just use now an image out of it, and then we can test it. Then we can click here on quick test, and then enter here the image URL. This live demo time was totally clear. Okay, now you can see it here that this is with the probability of 100%. This is the accuracy of the image that this is a wooden screw. That's here you can test it. And then, for example, when you integrate this in your app, it's nothing else that you send this image to the endpoint, and then you can get back the response as in JSON, and then you can do whatever you want with the result here. That was in the vision category, one cognitive service where you can use your own data. For example, it's called custom vision, and with the custom vision you can also do object detection. For example, this is the same with object detection. You don't you label your data. For example, when you want to recognize something in the picture, then you have to do to label the rectangle where the object is. And for example, you need some samples for that, and then also, but the process and the approach is the same for that. Then in the second demo, I would like to go to the form recognizer studio, where you can read forms and do something with layouts, for example. And then I give you just one example that you can see, okay, how the JSON looks like and what we can from the service and from the form recognizer studio, from the service pack. Here, for example, we have just a newspaper, or it's just an image, and when we click here on analyze, then okay, that's not good. Yeah. Oh, no. That's also always real-time demos are not the best thing. Yeah, what we have here now, it's just, for example, it's in layout or it's in receipt. And when you send the image to the form recognizer, and then in the form recognizer, you have different APIs. For example, now we have the layout API. And yeah, now you can see here, we have the different rectangles with the text. Here you can see, okay, this is the title, content is note 2, earnings per share, for example. And this is just for visualization that our customers and you can see, okay, what's happening behind the scene. But when you, for example, would like to see the JSON.
Perfect. Sorry again for a short delay. Jens, we go back to you, and we're excited to hear the rest of the Microsoft Azure story.
Perfect. Then, yeah, let's continue with the Language Studio. Here we can see how you can, for example, analyze our sentiment and also opinions. And this is just, the studio is for that you can test something and yeah, just get a feeling how it feels to use the, for example, the sentiment analysis inside Azure. And here I just choose the sample one where we, for example, this is just a sample test here. We went to Contoso, food place, blah, blah, blah. And now we are able, for example, yeah, we can also auto detect the language, but yeah, I know that this is English. Then I just can run it and can send it to the language or to the sentiment analysis, and then you can see here this result. It's an good looking result because when you send a text to the API, then you get this JSON back. And here, for example, you get the sentiment. Here, the sentiment is mixed. Also, you get the confidence or the accuracy of different, or if it's possible, neutral or negative. For example, also here, mixed is it's positive or it's more positive. And yeah, when you look, it's a big JSON where everything is analyzed from the text. And when you go back to the result here, the whole document is to 85%, or the confidence is 85%, and it's also to 85% positive and to 15% negative. And also you can see it's just a nice visualization about the sentiment analysis, where you can see, okay, this is the target and what was behind the analysis of the sentiment, for example. And also you have here the opinion, and yeah, here you can analyze the different sentences out of it. What I forget is when you create or for example, maybe you had the question in your mind where you can find, for example, the endpoint. And when you create, for example, the cognitive, or for example, the language service, here I already created a language service, then you see it here in the Azure portal where you can find the keys and the endpoints under keys and endpoints. And for example, here you have your endpoint, and then for example, when you send a different text to your endpoint, you need the key 1 or key 2, and then it's just for authorization. Then you're authorized to send text to this API. And yeah, that's for every cognitive and for every applied AI service the same, that you get the key and the endpoint, which is then you can use and send the data to the API. Okay, then maybe just I go back to the language studio. Yeah, you get a nice overview about all the different services or the different capabilities you have inside the language studio. For example, detect language. You can also train your custom text classification when you have data. You have also, for example, when you want to build a quick Q&A bot, you are also able to do that with answer questions. You just put FAQs into this service, and then you have a nice bot out of it. That's everything. You can play around it when you have the use case, or when you need it, when you do something with language. And here you can see everything about the language topic. Then the last API I would like to show you is the vision first of all, I showed you the custom vision. It's called custom vision because you can use your custom data for training and pre-built AI model. And now you really just use the pre-built AI models and just send images and data to the endpoint and get results back. And it's every time the same. That, for example, when we want to use text extraction, or when you want to extract text from images, then it's the same example that I had in my presentation, and you just send this image to the service, and then you can see here, this is the text out of the image. It's recognized the text. It's also handwritten and also printed. It's also able to detect both. And also when you go here into the JSON, you see, okay, the page 1, you also see the angle, you see the width and the height of the image, and that it's pixel. Then you can see, okay, this is the bounding box of everything. Also see the text here, and also the confidence as you saw in my presentation. And that's for every cognitive service the same, that you just need an endpoint, send data to it, and then you can use the pre-built AI models. And maybe for some of you, it's interesting that for all cognitive services, we also provide you an SDK in different coding languages, which you can use, but you can also just use the REST API. And for example, when you use Python, then you just use the request library where you can call the endpoint for that. Okay, that was the different demos of the cognitive services and also the applied services. And in the last part now, I would like to show you the Azure Machine Learning Service. And first of all, the first step was I also created this service inside the Azure portal. I clicked here, create, and just search for it here, Azure Machine Learning. And then you can see, okay, Azure Machine Learning. And then, it's every time the same process that you search for the service. You get here the resource, and then you create the Azure Machine Learning service, and then you need to provide in the portal the resource group, the workspace name, and then also when you create the Azure Machine Learning service, you also create a storage account, for example, where your notebooks are stored, and also when you have a key vault automatically created. When you deploy a model, then you get an endpoint, and for sure you don't want to save your credentials anywhere. That's the reason why you need a key vault. And it's the same as with the cognitive services with Azure Machine Learning. And then you are able to go to ml.azure.com. This is the main point for the Azure Machine Learning Studio. It's called. It's the homepage out of it. And here you are able to first of all create your compute for data preparation and also data training, for model training, and also later when you have a good model that you can deploy your machine learning models. And what I would like to show you here is, first of all, when you want to train a custom model, which steps you need to do that. The first part is I would like to use the automated machine learning, where you just put in data, and the service or the automated machine learning service inside Azure is just trying different combinations of features of the data set, of different algorithms, and also different hyperparameters of the algorithm. And then just, for example, you can say, okay, please automated machine learning, train 60 minutes or train until you have an accuracy of 90%. And then the service is trying different combination. Then when it fits, or when you have 90% accuracy, then it stops. And then, it's really easy for just testing, or when you have a data set and you want to know, okay, is it possible to use the data set for machine learning? This is the second part. And maybe for the last part, you can also use the designer. This is a drag and drop interface where you can also train your machine learning model. Also, you can also do data preparation and also do a model deployment. First of all, as I said, I would like to show you which steps you need when you want to do custom development when you are inside the Azure Machine Learning Studio. First of all, you need a compute, which means you have different capabilities here. You have compute instances, you have compute cluster, you have inference cluster, and you can also attach compute. For example, when you already have virtual machines inside Azure, then you're able to attach these computes to your service. But for the first run, it's not so important for you. Yeah, let us now create a compute instance for that we can run Jupyter notebooks in the Azure Machine Learning Studio. Now you can just name it. It doesn't matter here. Oh, it already exists. Then I use 5. You can you can't choose the location because the location it depends where your workspace is located. When you create, for example, Azure Machine Learning Studio in the United States, then also your compute instance is in the United States. The next point, what you can choose is you can choose CPU machines and also GPU machines from different sizes. Now you can see here different CPUs or different compute or VMs with different CPU machines. Or if you need, for example, if you want to train neural networks, then yeah, you can use the GPU, and you can see, okay, this standard NC6 has 6 cores, 56 gigabytes RAM, and 380 gigabyte storage, and also 88 cores are available, and you pay 1.17 per hour. And it's really when you start the machine, then you pay. For example, when you just run 10 minutes, then you just pay for 10 minutes, not for an hour. It's really when you start the machine, then you pay. When you stop it, then you don't have to pay. Then yeah, I would like to create this compute instance in the advanced settings. You can also, for example, idle shutdown, which is sometimes useful because I always forget to stop the machine, and it's very good for me. And also the schedule that you can set up and start up and shut down schedule for it. Yeah, you can also SSH, for example, and yeah, for example, have different advanced setting for it. And also, it's really important to know that on the compute instance, you have different, or it's a pre-configured virtual machine where you have, for example, TensorFlow, you have scikit-learn, you have different Python environments, you have Conda, you have CUDA, you have a lot of different capabilities pre-installed on the compute instance. Yeah. And it's not necessary that you have to install all the packages and all the environments, and yeah, you can just start coding with it. And really, that's all what you need for example, when you want to do custom model development inside the Azure Machine Learning Studio. And after you have created the compute instance, it takes some minutes, 1-2 minutes after, or when the creation is finished, then you can go to notebooks, where you have the same experience as you have in with Jupyter notebooks. For example, you can here create a new file. I just call it, yeah, it's TUM.ai. It's just a Jupyter notebook, and then you click create, and then you have it here, and then you can see, okay, the compute instance is creating. But now here you have the same experience as you have in a Jupyter notebook, and then you can start coding and load in your data, and that's also a good where you can do custom code development. And maybe you asked, or your question is now in your head that you don't know, okay, where can we create data sets and also upload the data? Here under the data category, you can register your data sets. And this is really important. For example, when I work with customers, always when they do machine learning on a local machine, then often they don't know, okay, with which version I trained my machine learning model. And here you can create, for example, when I create here a new data set, I can create it from a local file. I can also connect it to different data lakes, storage accounts, or different, for example, SQL server. When I create, for example, the same or a new data set, or when I register a new data set with the same name, then I have here version 2. It's like Git. Then you have really a data versioning about your data set. That's really useful, and also you have the connection from the data set and also from the training that okay, this model is trained with this version of your machine of your data set. Also, when you register the data set, you have you can explore the data. For example, you get different statistics out of it. You can generate a profile. That's first of all, the first step when you do when you just look into the data to get different statistics. For example, when you do classification, is the class or is the data set not balanced, for example, and that's one thing you can do here. Also, you can just look into your data and get different statistics and have a good overview about it. The next thing is maybe this question you had in mind, that you want to load the data set into your Jupyter Notebook. And this is, for example, you have here in sample usage out of it. I just copy it and then you can use it to connect to this data set and just paste. Yeah.
Your screen froze. Can you please reshare again? Hoping
sure.
that it will reload. We still see the virtual machine size.
Okay, sorry. Is it now back?
Yeah, perfect. Now we see the numbers. Great.
And where did it? Do you know where did it stop? Now I can't hear you.
You are mute, but like Jens, it stopped when you created the compute instance.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Then okay, then it's creating. Then I showed you the data stuff. Maybe I just go quick through the steps what I talked. When you go, I just told you that you can create, or when you, for example, when you want to register a data set, that you can register here under the data category different data sets of, you can create a data set from local files or from data stores like data lakes, SQL Server, storage accounts. And when you go inside, or the important thing is the versioning, that okay, this data set or this model is trained with version 1 or 2. This is the most important thing out of it. When you have, for example, here I have the diabetes data set, or when you have a new data set, you can also explore it, that you get different statistics out of it. Maybe the classes are imbalanced, or you want to, for example, get different statistics out of it. You can generate a profile for getting just different statistics, and that's what you can expect out of the data category. And also, when you want to use it in your Jupyter Notebook, here you have a sample usage about as a Python code, where you can just copy it, go to your notebook, and then you can, for example, now also my compute instance is running, and then I just load this data set into a data frame and just run it, and then it's queued. Takes some seconds to connect to the workspace. Yeah, perfect. And then my data is here saved in the df variable. Then I can just, as you know, df.head, and then I can put the code here and execute it. And then we get the first 10 lines out of it. And here we go. And then you can start coding and do whatever you want and with your data set. And also, maybe you don't want to use this experience. You can also edit this in VS Code, or you want to use Jupyter Lab or Jupyter. It's also possible with the compute instance. And also, one important thing is, when you want to install different or libraries which are not out of the box on the machine, you just go to compute, and then you can then you have here the terminal. and then you can just install whatever you want on the machine, or when you crash the machine or the compute instance, just put it into the trash and create a new one. And then also your notebooks are not saved on the compute instance. The notebooks are saved on the storage account. And that's the nice thing, that you can't destroy the compute instance, or when you destroy it, you can just create a new one. That's the process when you want to do custom development, and you need create a compute instance and do everything in notebooks. And here you see files and samples. You also have different notebooks and tutorials here, how, for example, you do model deployment, or you want to do reinforcement learning. Just some small sample notebooks you have here, which you can use. Or for example, when you don't know how to deploy the model, you can go inside the different tutorials and just look into the code, how the SDK works and how the SDK looks like. Okay, was the first step custom development, and the second step is we want to use automated machine learning service, where we just put in our data and the service is training the machine learning models automatically. For that, we just create here a new AutoML job. I already created a sample diabetes data set. That's everything we need to choose here is the sample diabetes data set. We click on next. Then we configure our job. I use now, it's just an existing experiment. Experiment is just an, you can put different runs into one experiment. It's like a resource group. You can just organize your different runs in experiments that you have a better organization out of it. In the next one, you need to define your target column. Normally it's Y, or I don't know, when you have a classification, it's binary. When you have regression, it's continuous. And also here you can create, or you can decide if you want to run the automated machine learning on a compute cluster or a compute instance. Now I would like to go with a compute cluster, and I already created one. And just select my compute cluster. And here in the next page, I can choose, okay, if it is a classification task, or is it a regression time series forecasting, or want to do natural language processing, or also, for example, you can build custom, or you can use automated machine learning for computer vision tasks, for example, for multi-class, multi-label image classification, object detection, or also instance segmentation. That's also really interesting to use. Now I have the data set for regression. I just choose the regression. You saw also you can enable deep learning for classification tasks. Then you have maybe better results for it. Here you can choose different labels, or which columns you want to use for the training. In the view additional configuration, you can choose your primary metric. This is used, or the automated machine learning is using the primary metric for training. For example, when you say, okay, I have a classification task and I use the primary metric is accuracy, then the service is trained after the accuracy, and then you can choose the different metrics out of it. You can also say, okay, the best model should be explained. It's an explainable AI component. You can also block models, which means, okay, I don't want to use decision tree in my training run. Then you can block different machine learning algorithms, for example, KNN, random forest, etc. Then that's really important to know. You have two exit criterions. One is hours, or one is time, or one is metric threshold. For example, you can say, okay, and this is after when you have here accuracy, then you can say, okay, when my accuracy is better or equal than 80%, then the service stops. Or you can also say, okay, my service shouldn't be run longer than 1 hour. That's the two exit criterions you have. The next one is concurrency. Maximum concurrent iteration possible, but it's not so important. That's the most important thing. Then you click save, click on next. Here you can also set the validation type if you want to use k-fold cross validation or Monte Carlo, or just train validation split. Also define the number of cross validations, and then just click finish, and then yeah, it's everything. It's started automatically. I already have done it in front of this session because it takes, I don't know, the minimum executable is 30 minutes, and yeah, that's too long for the session here. And when I go to jobs, I already have my experiment here. I also see here, okay, this automated machine learning run is completed. And then I can go to my models, and here I can see, okay, this is was my primary metric, and here I can see all algorithms, all models, which were trained with the automated machine learning service. Also, as I had ticked the box view explanation, then here you have the explainable AI component. And for example, the next step, when I have a good model, this is now the voting ensemble is now my best model. I would like for sure to deploy my machine learning model, and I go to the model. Here I have different metrics, my explanations, for example, also my outlooks and my outputs and different logs out of it. Yeah, I have too less time to go through every point, but if you have questions, please let me know about the different information you get here. But the main thing here is you can easily deploy your model to a real-time endpoint, and you just click, yeah, deploy as a real-time endpoint and say, okay, this is my new endpoint. It's called diabetes TUM. Then you can choose, okay, yeah, if the endpoint is managed, or if you have an owned Kubernetes cluster, then you can also, some customers they want to configure their own Kubernetes, and then they can use it. But for now I use managed. Click next. Use my machine learning model. Say, I have to define the deployment name. Then click also next. For the automated machine learning, the environment, which is all the packages the model needs, and also the different Python environments is automatically created. Also, then you need to define different or an VM size for the endpoint or for the service. And yeah, you can also have different deployment slots. For example, when you want to do zero downtime deployment, that you can split, that you have 2 deployments, for example, and send 90% to the default deployment and 10% to another deployment. That's also possible. And then you just review all information, and then you just click create, and yeah, your endpoint is automatically created. After it takes some minutes, you get your endpoint, your authorization, your key. It's like when you use a cognitive service, you can send new data to the endpoint and can use your model, and can also integrate your model into your apps, into different services. And yeah, that's really cool that you can bring your machine learning models really fast into production. Yeah, like you don't have to code, because you just click inside the portal. Yeah, that's all. Yeah, the third part now is just a quick. I just want to quickly show you the drag and drop component. What you can do here. It's just a drag and drop component where you can also train and do data preparation and data deployment. And for example, here it's like it's like a drag and drop tool where you can just drag and drop different components. And for example, you can search here you also have the data set, just drag and drop, and then you can just connect to different components, and can also train different machine learning models, and do different data preparation, data training parts out of it without coding. And yeah, that's really nice if somebody wants to use this. It's also possible to do it without coding. Yeah, this was the quick overview about all Azure, or a quick overview about the Azure machine learning and AI services. And yeah, I hope you learned a lot about Azure and Microsoft AI services. And yeah, let me know if you have questions on Friday or now. Yeah, I think we have 10 minutes or 15 minutes for the questions, and just let me know if you have any questions about the services or how you can use it. And yeah, thank you very much. Oh, you're muted?
Okay, now we're back.
Yeah, now yeah.
Many thanks for workshop and for the talk. It was very, very interesting. We already have a couple of questions in the loop, and I'm sure that many more will be coming in the upcoming days, especially on the Friday. Some of the questions have actually already been answered throughout the talk, but I'll still read them out and we can have a short discussion about it. But the first one would be, how do you select a correct resource group while setting up the instance?
Sorry, can you repeat it?
How do you select a correct resource group while setting up the instance?
For which service, or maybe for which part was it?
This came quite early, so at the very, very beginning, while we were still streaming on the YouTube. So I'm assuming at the very beginning, when we first started talking about instances.
Okay, yeah, this the resource group, or for example, when you create when you, for example, create a language service, then you have a drop down for it, and then you can see all resource groups, and then, for example, you are able to create a new resource group or choose an existing one, and that's the thing you can create a resource group.
Perfect. The next one is, do we have any pre-trained models available that we can then fine-tune according to our use case? We already heard at the very end that is the case, but maybe then you can talk about if we could then access the source code of automated machine learning, or are there any other options to fine-tune this part?
Yeah, for the cognitive services and all the applied AI services, you are not able to look into the code. It's everything is managed by Microsoft. But yeah, for example, as you saw in the custom vision, you can use your own data for training machine learning models, for doing, for example, object detection or classification. That's possible. When you use the automated machine learning, I can show you. You can see the code when you go to a model. And 1 second, when you go to jobs, and then here you have your experiment, then you go to, for example, to my best machine learning model, then to this one. Then you can see here view generated code that's currently in preview, but when you click on it, you can see, okay, what's behind or what's going on under the hood, and then it's automatically creates this Jupyter notebook where you can use, and then you can see, okay, what's happened during the training.
Great. The next question is, for the performance metrics, do we need to set them up, or does the instance have built-in that we can just choose from?
Wait, can you repeat it?
For the performance metrics, do we need to set them up, or does the instance have built-in that we can just choose from?
It's built in. You just you just use the monitoring. It's everything is built in into the platform.
Great. The last one is, when you increase the training time or manually setting the training time long, does it use another model, or will it just is just overfitting if it's already good?
Yeah, it depends. When you have, for example, the service is not stupid, because when you, for example, just answering your question, it takes, or it tries new algorithms when the time is longer, and also new combinations, for example, of features and hyperparameters. And also when the automated machine learning service is trying, for example, when the last 5 iterations or 10 iterations, when we do not have an increase of the accuracy, for example, then the service automatically stops. Even if you have a training time from 24 hours, for example, because yeah, it doesn't make sense that you have, for example, after 5 hours that you train more iteration, but you don't have an improvement in your training. And that's also an intelligence inside the automated machine learning service.
We have another one, and that is, I wonder what is the Azure balance that we get for this hackathon? I don't know, do we publish this information already now, or do we wait for Friday?
I don't know how much is it the Azure credits?
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah.
Maybe Tobias know that. I don't know.
The answer is already in the chat, like
Okay.
here in the Microsoft Teams chat. So the balance is like one voucher is $60, and you can get up to 2 vouchers per weekend, meaning up to $120 exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, that's really enough. When, for example, I already showed you that for the cognitive services, you can use the free tier version, and also when you use the compute instance, when you, I don't know, when you train a neural network, or when you use the automated machine learning and use the biggest compute cluster with 5 nodes, maybe it just costs 20 euros, and then yeah, 120 euro is or it's enough for the hackathon.
It's more than enough. Perfect. Thank you so much once again. We don't have any other questions right now, but in case there are some, we will ask them then on Friday. This was a great talk, and I'm sure that participants will have a lot of fun while using Azure, and that it will actually help them build their solutions and train and hopefully come up with the best possible solutions to the challenges. On this note, I would also like to let you know that we actually won't make any break right now. So you will have a chance to meet your perfect team in a second. We will use the platform WonderMe. This is a QR code. We will show it once again. But before that, also another information that there is a team submission form that is supposed to be submitted by tomorrow at midnight. And also be aware that everyone should submit this form. That means even if you're applying with a full team or you don't find anyone during the team finding event, still please submit the form, because then in the latter case, we will try to match you up with someone that has similar interests as you. Having said this, we also have a couple of more events coming up, as talk tomorrow with IBM, also talk from River AI, and talk from AI for Medicine in the upcoming days. You will be you're kept up to date in the Slack channel, but also feel free to reach out to us if you have any questions. Having said this, we're skipping the break, and you can directly switch over to the team finding event by scanning this code on the left side and using the password AI Makers. Thank you all for being here, and see you in the upcoming days.
Thank you. Bye-bye.